这个赛季只有我们能朝3连霸迈进，只有我们所以强大，都是经过无数的努力来达成。全队团结一心及球迷们的缺一不可，才能成为独一无二 One of One 的冠军队伍。而今天也将再次打造热血沸腾的勇士王朝。
经过那么多低潮，到底还撑什么？场上有人罩，需要这么努力吗？在台湾发展，真的有前途吗？黄金时代差不多了，有谁还在燃烧生命？
只有我们。
你问我撑什么？当然要继续称霸。
3代联手才是最强阵。You see these rings? That's why I'm here. We never fall back. And you can find me where I'm at. We never fall back. 只要有我们，没有不可能。
One of One， 只有我们。台北富邦勇士的球迷们准备好了吗？现在介绍地主队台北富邦勇士球员登录名单，让我听到你们的尖叫声。首先欢迎勇士吉祥物皮尔。 球员出场背后0号后卫山线一哥南洋小跑车赖廷恩，背后1号前锋能里能外蓄势待发选秀榜眼陈范博彦，背后8号前锋勇士队鲑鱼 Number F 周桂宇。 背号10号前锋 Number 10， 来自法国浪漫射手 Steve 张文平。背号13号大前锋我梦林梦璇。背号15号本土中锋禁区魔兽 Jimmy 谢宗荣。 背号23号大前锋 Number 23勇士队 Jordan。
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, seniors and youth. A little taste of the Plus League playoffs. It's the Taoyuan Pauian Pilots here at Hoping Gymnasium to play the Taipei Fubon Braves. I'm Ryan Chen, joined by Kyle Hudson. 3 straight nights in a row. Can you hang with us, Kyle?
Oh, I'm glad to be here, Ryan. You know, 3 straight days, but 3 straight amazing games that we've seen, and can't wait to watch this one tonight.
This will be the B Series that begins on Saturday, May 20th at 5 p.m. A best of 5 series right back here at Hoping Gymnasium. Here's the Braves player introductions.
球衣背号5号会飞的中锋台来制造机 Number 5 CJ Chris Johnson。 最后介绍出场老师背号14号小前锋奇妙老爹本土洋将队长蔡文成。总教练coach许晋哲，助教练吴永仁。
Getting the back end of the starting five introduction, the biggest change for the Braves having played yesterday was Beast. We'll be taking tonight off, and in his place, number 1, Chen Pauian. And the standings table with spots 1, 2, and 3 set. Yesterday, the Dreamers beat the Kings, and the Steelers beat the Braves to continue on the let's see, the mystery of who will be the 4th and final team in the Plus League playoffs, where the Dreamers right now have obviously the 1.5 game advantage. They are currently M1, and the Lioneers bringing out the rest of the table at 12 and 25.
Definitely keeping it interesting here, Ryan, and that's exactly what the fans and we want. We want to have a little nail biter at the end to see who's going to clinch that last playoff spot.
Finally found our Mandarin colleagues on the broadcast. It's Wang Ziquan and Mark 田龙奎。各位朋友们，你找到了官方的英文转播喽。要看志群跟奎哥的奖评，当然就按照中文的转播连接。谢谢你的收看，记得 Plus D 转播都要按赞。One thing that we do need to clarify is that of all the inaugural teams of the Plus League between the Braves, the Pilots, the Dreamers, and the Lioneers, the Braves have yet to face the Pilots, interestingly enough. We'll break that down all as the broadcast will go on, but they defeated the Dreamers in the first season in the finals 3-1 before it was cut off short, and then the year after beat the Dreamers in the semis and the Lioneers in the finals.
揪过来，再次跟大家分享好消息，你加入了吗？你成为我们的好友了吗？你发送好友邀请了吗？赶快加入我们台北富邦勇士篮球队的官方 LINE 账号的好友，就有最多的第一手消息，特别是大家都很期待的季后赛消息，才不会错过。再来，明天开始中午12点，年度最佳啦啦队，请唯一支持富邦 Angels， 而且有什么福利呢？奶昔跟大家说，
只要我们富邦 Angels 拿到今年年度啦啦队第1名的话，我们就会在富邦 Angels 的官方 IG 上面开全员直播，而且是首次哦。
第一次全员到齐开直播跟大家聊天哦。如果还有什么好康，敬请期待。但是先投给我们。还有，最重要的是，那是中午12点要投给啦啦队，但是晚上6点，一人只有1票，请跟着杰哥唯一支持年度最佳主场台北富邦勇士投给我们哦。
As Travis and some of the Fubon Angels letting you all know that the voting for the best home stadium and best cheerleading squad will begin tomorrow. You can follow, I've suggested, the Braves on the line account or follow Plus League on Facebook, Instagram, and our own line account. For the Pilots playing here at Hudson Gymnasium, previously 9 losses in a row before finally getting their lone victory back on April 23rd. The Kings have played the Braves the toughest here at 4-3 in 2 seasons, followed by the Lioneers, who notched a big victory in the very first season of the Plus League. This has been one of the most high-scoring environments, but it's one that the Braves do a great job controlling the tempo in a game that doesn't matter for the standings, but is depending on how the players treat it, more or less an important tune-up game for these teams to get ready for the playoffs. They both have one more on the road next week.
Yeah, it should be a little preview of what we'll see in the first round of the playoffs. They definitely want to get those last-minute adjustments before they take it to the playoffs, where it's the most important. So we'll see how the game goes tonight.
On the Pilot side, Justin Lu Junxiang was interviewed in the pregame.
有一种突破心魔的感觉，然后提升了自己的一些信心。那这段日子就很煎熬。很感谢队友跟教练还是持续的相信我，就更专注于在平常的训练，然后不要让自己胡思乱想，不要受到舆论的影响，然后把自己该做的事情做好。说了很多鼓励我的话，然后叫我不要受到外界影响，然后调整好自己。对，然后很开心有很多学长这么关心我，他们对我说的话我都觉得很有帮助。
Previously, Lu Junxiang scored a career-high 32 points against the Lioneers in their clinching victory. In February, he's seen his shooting percentage go from 17% down to 12%. And then finally in the single digits, saying that he's now kind of past the mental hurdle and happy to do so. Thankful that his teammates and coaches keep supporting him. Even Beast, Lin Zijie, who gave him a word of encouragement. He's happy about the vets are there for him, but he's focused on his training and leaving out the outside noise. On the other side, veteran Taoyuan Chen.
现在变成说，我觉得，因为富邦勇士变成说就是一个传统强队嘛，就是变成说，每年晋级季后赛就是一般的第一标嘛，所以变成说，我们晋级季后赛，其实大家也不会觉得说，勇士我们有老一岁，会变成说，我们已经晋级季后赛，或是我们一定要晋级季后赛，变成说我们就是一个传统强队，然后其他球队遇到我们就可能就会怕我们这样子。领航员其实的打法就是比较属于团队嘛，然后他们找的洋将3个的话，就是其实都是配合本土或是比较团队的洋将，所以变成说，不是去针对一个人或是2个人，变成说我们可能就是要球队就是以团队来去守他们团队，而不是以团队去守他们个人这样子。
Taoyuan Chen was the last player introduced in today's pregame festivities, saying that the Braves are a playoff mainstay, so they don't think much about getting older, though that is a fact. That's true for everybody, to be fair. But other teams need to figure out how to beat them when the rubber hits the road. Now, asked about the Pilots, he says they play very much a team basketball between the locals and the veterans, and the imports, I should say. But at the same time, it takes a team effort to guard the team and not a team effort maybe to guard any specific player, for example. Previously, Sonny Sakakini had 41 points here, but he and Jeffrey Ayers getting a sick absence for today's game. It's just Jason Washburn in there for the Pilot side. And as we mentioned, it's kind of a tune-up game for both teams. The Brave clinching a playoff spot a few weeks ago, and the Pilots just on Friday. Lai Jianzong will be the crew chief of tonight's officiating staff. Starting with the Pilot starters, it's Ambi Ding Yundi next to Jason Washburn, Mayo Zhang Zhenya next to Jackie Li Jiakang, and Ethan Baiao Chen. On the Brave side, a familiar set, Chris Johnson, Eeyore Zaitsev, Winston Taoyuan Chen, Jet, Zhang Zhongxian next to number 11, KJ Hongkaijie. It's the very first time that the Pilots' 3 first-round picks, 1, 3, and 4, will be starting the game together. That's something interesting, as in the Plus League, there's a lot of depth when it comes to local players that the rookies need to try to climb above. Feng Xiaoyue was the pregame performer, and it looks like he'll be throwing up the ceremonial tip. Now, there's only been 13 games which the Pilots' first-rounders have all seen the floor together, whether it's from DNPs or whether it's not even getting registered, or in Ambi's case, for example, working off an injury. Quite a bit of roster changes, too, for the Pilots. For example, trading away Hayden and Manimal, mainstays of the Pauian basketball operation for a number of years, to try to go with a youth movement. On the Brave side, though, their starters played 23, 35, 22, 22, and 37 minutes, respectively, from their small number to the larger numbers. So we'll see how Coach Roger and the staff rotate their minutes. The tip is up, won by the Pilots, wearing their orange and blue TYP jerseys, and the Braves in their light blue Mother's Day themed jerseys. Zhang Zhenya with a quick fire 3, it's in. A good start for number 27, who hasn't seen the floor in a number of weeks. And the Pilots showing off a 2-3 zone look with Ambi in the middle and not Washburn. Chris Johnson, pass deflected out of bounds.
Yeah, with the Braves coming in from a back-to-back, we'll see them try to get some more efficient shots up. You know, they definitely had a little wear on their legs, so let's see if they can be efficient from the field to save some energy.
to the corner, but Winston driving. An awkward pass as Jet will take the tough turnaround. Get to the other side, I want to ask about the choice of who's playing the middle of the zone. Zhang Zhenyang denied at first, now will cut away. Ethan will float it up, but well short.
You know, Ryan, speaking about earlier with all these younger guys on both teams, when we were looking at the Braves side, Chen, 23 years old, Josh, KJ, both 24, TJ, 25. You know, both of these organizations want to keep some new players in to help them grow over time and make sure that this Brave team has a good mix of young players, but also veterans as well.
And there it is, a one-legged three-pointer by KJ. Tied up at 3. And Andy would kind of brush that hook shot off of the mark. The Braves push it ahead, probably denying the Pilots their zone look. And man, as the Jiakang goes under against Jet. Out to KJ, hit the 3 earlier. After a few pump fakes, it was close. Roger does like to play Winston along with KJ. Some couple players that they say are very alike in maybe their off timing, their unconventional mechanics, for example, and certainly their flair for the dramatic. Jason Washburn, the line drive is no good.
For sure, having good chemistry on the court is extremely important. And once you find a good pairing with, you know, 5 guys on the court that play well with each other and understand their tendencies, it's very, very important to find those key points to have a well-oiled machine.
Jiakang comes down and commits the foul as Zaitsev was driving on Amdi.
You know, we spoke about the Braves being young, but the Pilots are even younger, I would say. You know, AMD, Jackie, both 24, Wayne, 22, Chang Chen-ya, 23, and Ethan, 24 as well. Both these teams have some very young pieces, and, you know, coming down to the end of the season, I'd like to see them get some more minutes, some big playing time, as, you know, they might need to step up in the playoffs, because you never know what might happen.
A steal by Amdi and a transition 3 by Xiaobai. Bai Chen, front runner for Rookie of the Year. As you mentioned TJ before, we'll break that down a little bit. Johnson's turnaround, also short, and Andy gobbles up the rebound. Pilots with a lead, trying to extend on it. Zhang Zhenyang, he's fouled by Jet in transition. And what I want to see a little bit more from the Pilots, for example, on that last transition, they weren't going full bore, even though they had a 4-on-2. They did get an open look.
Yeah, I'd like to see the Pilots definitely push the pace. The Braves, this is their second day on a back-to-back. So, you know, they're definitely going to be tired, which could lead to some more open baskets off of easy passes. So we'll see if the Pilots try to push the pace a little more than they're used to, especially on this last possession, and see if they can get some points up on the board.
I make that comment because they are statistically the slowest team by pace in the league. No subs yet in the game, as it's now Zhang Zhenyang's turn to keep an eye on Zaitsev. Back in that zone look. Johnson crashing the board. Having a tough time, missing the reverse. Enough resistance by the Pilots down there. Now Jackie Lee Jiakang getting an extended touch. Washburn guarded by Winston on the elbow. And they foul first. Two team fouls by the Braves, as I mentioned. Might want to keep an eye out because Michael Singletary, 2 games in a row, not in there on the active roster, maybe working off some other injuries, as you can probably expect.
Well, you know, Singletary is a huge part of the Braves offense, and, you know, yesterday, the Braves versus the Steelers, they had a little trouble scoring the ball as the Steelers filled up the stat sheets pretty much in every area. So let's see if we can find and establish a leader scorer here on the Braves tonight.
Overhead pass, KJ driving, but blocked by his collegiate teammate and Amdi. That's a little bit rude to the Xuezang.
Yeah, it was a good help defense off there, as we see on the, comes up on the backside, just waits for the right moment and times it very well.
We've said for now 3 seasons how Brendan Smart tries to block Aji, goes to out of Jianxing, but now we have Zhenzi University, a big and a perimeter player. Nobody checked Jason Washburn, so he goes to the rim with 2.
Yeah, that's exactly what we were talking about, Ryan. We just, as the Pilots push the pace, Jason Washburn running the floor. You know, if he doesn't get that rebound, I like to see him jump all the way down there to try to get some easy dunks, just like that one.
Zhang Zhenyao with the quick hands. As again, nobody checks Jason Washburn, this time switching it up to a one-handed jam. And that'll force the Braves to a timeout 2 nights in a row. Looking like the more sluggish team out there, though yesterday they had the early lead that the Steelers quickly overcame. It's our first break of the Sunday night matchup. We'll be back after this.
好的，比尔来喽！第一个动作，来跟我们勇士的球迷朋友一起来互动。哦，很好，很好，非常有戏。挑战整个小朋友，换你喽！看一下今天穿着香蕉装的比尔，跟着比尔一起做鬼脸。来了，2位美女，看一下大荧幕祥军的粉丝。好，文艺青年。比尔来了，2位朋友做鬼脸，跟着比尔 copycat， 换你们喽。
Like it up for the last game of the Plus League weekend, though don't forget there's a Tuesday night game between the Lioneers and the Kings. Feng Xiaoyue maybe a little new to the basketball scene here, but quickly getting in rhythm. It's the Pilots with the early lead on the Braves, and after taking the game against the Lioneers and clinching a playoff spot, you kind of wondered how they would handle some of these games that won't matter in the standings, and at least maybe through about 5 minutes, they've looked pretty solid. Let's see if the Braves can respond. Substitutions for the Braves as Steve-O, Zhang Wenping down to Zaitsev, but another block by Ambi, this time on the 7-foot Zaitsev. Timing up the Ukrainian center perfectly there on the hop. But Lai Tingan inbounding the ball. Now presumably the point guard, KJ, rails another 3.
Yeah, that's what we like to see in an offensive possession. With the Pilots in a zone, you really got to see him shoot that outside shot to make them either go man, or you can find that open space in the middle of that 2-3 zone. So 2 things I think they should be looking for is that 3-point stroke, as we saw right there, and trying to get the ball inside.
Dishing out to Xiaobai, but it's short. It's going to be out of bounds, the intended target for KJ, who had 12 points yesterday, only 3 of 12 shooting from the field, but 4 of 4 from the line. Gonna look at this one from almost the logo, but you can say that SK GTA as it's called. He did commit 4 turnovers, 26 by the Braves overall. A perfect example of the Steelers' small ball lineup having an effect and the way to go. Washburn will try the spin move. Andy got a hand on it, but here comes Zaitsev and the Braves. They too had Johnson and Zaitsev in there, and the Steelers pretty much played without a power forward for the most part. Still made it look easy. Zaitsev will line up a 3, and he got it. Yesterday had a strong performance with 18 points.
He's shooting the ball well. He continued that from yesterday. If he gets that outside stroke going, you know, we'll try to see the Pilots maybe adjust, switch defenses here.
Down to Washburn again with Johnson lurking in the middle. Andy showing off the long range two. A beautiful stroke. Pilots get back on the board, and again, the zone defense with Andy in the middle instead of Washburn. I'm kind of curious as what your take on it is, Kyle, as Lightingham gets on the board and closes in the gap.
It seems like they just want to stretch the floor a little bit, and as we see, they had a little 5-out offense on this side, and that just created just enough space to get that open three there.
Braves 4 or 5 shooting beyond the arc. All their point production as Jackie Lee Jiakang shows off the one-handed floater. Not a huge scoring threat, but quickly the other way. KJ with the hot hand.
The Braves here shooting a lot better than they did yesterday against the Steelers. It seems like their three-point percentage is high, which is exactly what you want to see early on in this game as they're catching up.
Yesterday was not bad, 15 for 44. As on the other side, Andy Dingundi. Let's look that up. That is only his second three-pointer made in the Plus League, though. A little bit too rough with Johnson now.
Ryan, earlier you were speaking about this gymnasium being such a high-scoring environment for both teams. As yesterday, the Steelers scored over 100 points, and now they got a pretty high-scoring first quarter for us with the Pilots at 19 and the Braves at 15. So should be a good environment and a good show that they're going to put on for these fans here tonight.
A bit of a line change for the Pilots. As the Braves go down to the post. Johnson, Zaitsev on the run over the much smaller Ethan. Pong Pong, number 15, number 00, Taoyuan, and Justin, number 69. Open look, taking it in. Over to Taoyuan, everybody being modest. It's Washburn off iron. Pretty good patience. But on the other side, with not much patience, Steve-O lets it fly.
Steve-O did hit 2 early quick threes yesterday at the beginning of the game. So, he probably still has that confidence in him, and he's ready to shoot the ball whenever he finds an opening.
Indeed, his first Plus League start. He was a Brave when they were playing between the SBL and the ABL. Off glass, Pong Pong with one hand secures the board. That's one thing that did work in the Braves' favor, plus 14 in the rebounding department. Got a hand on it and loose ball eventually to Igor Zaitsev. Chance for the Braves to tie or even take the lead. Pong Pong reaches and commits the foul as Johnson denies all the opponents those after whistle shots, taking a after whistle dunk himself.
Yeah,
see the nice dime before.
Yeah, just giving the crowd a nice little dunk there after the whistle. There's more of a mental thing than anything else. Showing your opponents, I'm going to take it to the rack whenever I want, and throws it down to maybe boost some confidence as well.
In the wrong place in the wrong time, Pong Pong called for another one. He's hearing the contest by his teammate in Washburn. If we're looking at per 36 fouling, Andy's still the highest at 6.6. As a deep shot, another one. This time it's Lightingham. And that is the lead, 20-19. Pilots giving the Braves a little bit too much space. Jason Washburn going to work, but was rejected there. Now the other way, Johnson wants to take a turn, and he keeps the train going.
Yeah, these 3 points are just flying right now from the Braves. Definitely a good momentum that they've set up so far, and hopefully we'll see that continue on defense as Lightingham is playing some pretty high pressure.
Zijingyao, the newest pilot in the game, the veteran on the team, dishing it off as this time Pong Pong plays a smart on somebody else with the ill-advised contest.
And nice little pump fake there. He thought he was going to put up the 3 and jumped right in front of him.
The Braves getting a little crazy in this one. Already 7 of 9 3-point shooting in yesterday's start to the game. Steelers 4 of 10. The Braves 5 of 12 is starting to look kind of modest. Justin stripped from behind, and here come the Braves on the break. Taoyuan matches up with Lai Ting-un. This is Chris Johnson again on the post. Pongpong's not so long arms, but committing the foul.
You know, Johnson was looking for a little one-on-one action there, but maybe lost the ball a little bit. Some quick hands by Pongpong made him second guess that drive.
Just like that, Amdy's right back in. Pongpong with 3 personal fouls. And for the Pilots, a few games in a row without number 25 Lington, who in the beginning of the season, along with Pongpong, was taking up a lot of those power forward minutes for the Pilots. But his absence has given Amdy a chance to play.
You know, definitely like we mentioned, these younger players might get more playing time than they expected. Injuries, foul trouble is all part of the game. So every player's got to be ready to step up, and it's Amdy's time right now. So we'll see how he can progress in these final couple games before the playoffs start.
Jimmy's in for CJ. On the Brave side, they're guarding Amdy up top. They're looking for Washburn, guarded by Zaisev. Not a lot of Pilots movement going on. A step back as Washburn. A little bit of a late reaction by him.
You know, missed his last 2 shots around the rim and on that little turnaround jumper there. So hopefully he can get some easy buckets to build that confidence to put the ball in the basket.
Justin on the catch and shoot. A 3 from the corner, finally getting the Pilots back into the flow a little bit. Now Lai Ting-un down to Jimmy. Not good timing as Steve-O has to scramble. And still ball loose on the floor. Eventually picked up by the Pilots. Jason Washburn off glass and in. So a couple scores in a row for the Pilots there on the deflected pass. That happened a lot in yesterday's game too. The Braves seemed like a little too casual. No looking pass as Jimmy can't get in.
Yeah, the Braves might be telegraphing their passes a little too much.
And Taoyuan, this time he'll get a whistle from the slot official coming down to help out on the play, officiating-wise. Get another look at the hustle. First the deflected pass. Steve-O initially got a hand on it, and maybe KJ getting away with one there. But Jimmy not so lucky. First points of the game for number 00. Taoyuan, between him and Jackie Lee, Jia Kang, some of the Pilots defensive specialists who Caminos likes to have in there, really set the tone on that side of the floor. And making a second one. Taoyuan on the season only taking 28 free throw attempts, as there you see number 8, Josh Zokwe in.
With the shot clock off, we'll see the Braves try to take their time and get a high-quality shot to regain this lead before the end of the first quarter.
The zone's kind of changing a little bit of a shape as Lai Ting-un back to TJ Jianting Cao, who we mentioned before. Josh down to Jimmy, but that one's picked off. Running low on time. Sujinho randomly floats it up and in off glass. Making up for another time he had that opportunity as a game winner against the Braves at home, but in the first quarter here, not a problem. The Pilots turning around a little bit of a rough patch in the middle of that quarter. Now end the first with a 3-point lead.
热烈的掌声，谢谢富邦 Angels。
To my Fuji, she got the keys. See how you like to reach us like climbing trees. She my honey, she sweet like bees. She cool, call her breeze. She making everybody like PSP. She got game like PSP. So what you say, girl, come with me. I fight for you, call it UFC. With me, so baby, baby. No KFC. You're my number one, not 2 or 3. I be watching you, girl, like DVDs. Let me get you a drink, I'll be up in it. Come with me, don't TYT.
On a Sunday night, it's the Pauian Pilots against the Taipei Fubon Braves. Of course, you've already said it before, but if you're just joining the broadcast, a preview of one of the playoff series, a best of 5, where the winner will go to the Plus League Finals. The Braves, 2-time champs, got to skip the first round in the inaugural year when it was between the Pilots and Dreamers, a best of 5. And then the Braves defeated the Dreamers the year after in the first round as Tokoyu, an uncharacteristic dribble off the foot. Not exactly how Roger probably wanted them to start off the quarter.
No, I would assume not, but you know, these Braves teams gotta lower their turnover count. You know, if it creeps up on them, that could be costly possessions that they could have had down the stretch.
Mohan right on the screen as Jason Washburn looking for an outlet. Justin from the corner. This says Washburn denied a couple bigs down there to help each other out. Chen Fan's fresh in the game, lines up the 3, and he joins the party.
The Braves are just getting a lot of high-quality looks. You know, off that block shot, the Pilots weren't set up in their defense, which led Chen Fan to get a wide open 3 to add to the tally.
Suji out down to Hong Hong. Step by CJ as that one rolls out. Right now, the Pilots are every single time down giving Washburn a touch on the post, but it's not yielding very much.
He is being very patient, but it seems like the play isn't developing when one player is just holding the ball. So I like to see them move the ball around a little bit, try to break down that defense to get some either open shots or drives to the basket, maybe some dump offs as well to the post.
With a long possession, we'll have to figure that out. You see Jimmy coming in with a clean block. And on the other side, Chen Fan, maybe not quite in rhythm, but a beautiful rotation. We're tied up at 28. We'll stay with the Braves. In fact, it will be a Pilots foul on the floor. A little bit unlucky as CJ's free throw jumper, a miss, and another foul by Jimmy, had the hands in the wrong place. These special Braves uniforms have the players' English nicknames if they have one. So for example, number 0 Lai Tingun goes by Cooper. One we don't use as often as we should on the English broadcast. Handoff game for the Pilots as Taoyuan going on Chen Fan. We'll get the foul, squeeze in between 2. Chen Fan is one of the younger Braves we were hoping we got to see more of as soon as the Braves clinched a playoff spot and also clinched second place. But he's had his struggles certainly in the last month or so. Only about 22 minutes played, 3 of 9 shooting. Oh no, excuse me. Only about 75 minutes played, minus 40 in the plus minus. Aya wide open for 3, swishing it. Pilots back up on top. Brendan Smart in there. Roaming the baseline in the dunker spot as CJ in the middle of the zone. Fancy footwork and a clean 3.
You know, the Braves are really trying to spread out that Pilots defense on that 2-3 zone. There's a lot of open spaces, and you know, that just left an open spot, you know, a little jab step for the three.
Washburn now receiving at the high post. Handoff and loading it up with a right hand. Little off, Pilots get it back. Now the Pilots, as mentioned, clinched on Friday, May 5th. Ayao's free throw line jumper is a brick. Here come the Braves in transition. 3-on-2. TJ to Chen Fan. Going baseline, through contact, and the bucket.
Chen Fan's definitely taking advantage of his playing time here in the second quarter. We saw him hit the three when he first got in, and now he has a chance to make that 6 total with that and one.
Chen Fan goes by Phil, P-H-I-L, Phil. Out of Jianxing, just like Smart, and just like TJ Jianxing Cao. Rattling in the free throw too. As mentioned, he's the only new player in, and the only player out for the Braves from yesterday was Beast. Had a struggle game yesterday, only 7 points, but a career low -25 on the game. As Guan Daiyou finds Si Jinyao, hit one earlier, too strong with this attempt. Pilots shooting hand from the outside seems to be a little inconsistent compared to the Braves. Drive on Calvin, the dream shake, and the fadeaway. A pretty one. Early on in the game, 3 for 3, 8 points for Phil. Find his playing time as a counter by Huang Honghan.
Yeah, we're seeing both teams getting a lot of open shots here in the second quarter and capitalizing as the score is very close. There's been a lot of score changes so far, so we'll definitely keep an eye out on these offensive breakdowns.
Smart trying another tough one-on-one move. Guan Daiyou rotates it over. Now the Pilots space it out, facing the Braves man defense. Driving kick, but a foul first. Previously, Chen Fan, the dream shake. Can't believe he was teaching a lesson to the veteran Calvin Chen Lihuan there on the block.
Yeah, that was a beautiful, beautiful move there. Had enough space for that jumper, so can't complain. Good offense, but also some good defense.
Guan Daiyou on the handoff, attacking that Hunt, missing the three after the make. Jump off to Smart, but had his feet stuck in the mud. Rarely you see that in the paint. TJ no good with his attempt. Quickly in transition, Jason Washburn, a facial on Phil. And the foul.
Well, we've seen this before from Jason Washburn this game. This is the third time that no one's picked him up early, and he just drove down and threw it down.
There's a welcome to the league moment as Washburn probably taking out some frustration too, having been denied a few other times in the half court, but in transition, he's looking really spry.
As you can see, he's definitely running down the court, which is forcing the Braves to get back on defense early. They've been slacking a few times, as we've seen, and Washburn has definitely taken advantage.
So we've given Phil his flowers, but unfortunate victim on a poster. Though, to be fair, you would think those guys would get some royalties for every poster sold.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it might be on the wrong end of it, but, you know, it happens, especially in this league when you got a couple bigs as Johnson and Washburn.
Zhang Zhenyang probably paying some tuition there. He's the first overall pick by the Pilots in the last amateur draft, though has seen his playing time reduced by quite a bit in recent weeks.
Go, Calvin!
TJ catch and shoot opportunity. He doesn't miss. Keeping track at home. By my count, he is the 7th Brave to score a 3. Zhang Zhenya gets it back with a 2. And there you see it, the most threes in a half being combined by the two teams. 2 go at Phil, leaving TJ open, but it's off the mark. Finally a chance for the Pilots. Down to Calvin. Washburn 0 for 2 from outside, so Zhang Zhenya with an opportunity. Wow!
You know, Ryan, it might seem like this game might come down to who can shoot the 3-ball better. And both teams are having extremely high percentages so far. It just seems like the defense on both ends just don't want to get out there and get a hand up.
First overall pick on second overall pick crime there.
Yes, I know.
14 fouls apiece. We have under 6 minutes to go. The league record for one team's three-pointers made, 13 by the Kings. That has happened twice in team history and twice in Plus League history. As KJ checks in. Pilots without one of their imports as deflected pass. And here come the orange and blue team. Washburn, the intended target, but they'll stay out of bounds. Calvin kind of left the pass a little behind his teammate.
That almost could have been the 4th time Washburn has had a wide open lane down the middle. And that's definitely something I'd like to see the Braves address here during this timeout.
So I have the following messages for you, and back to the action after this. Welcome back to the broadcast. The Braves and Pilots right now in the middle of some fireworks display. Looking up the stats, in 11 occasions this year, the Braves have only hit single-digit three-pointers on the entire game. So far, they have already had 7 shooters knock one down from the outside, but the Pilots, not so shabby themselves, have gotten a lot of deflections and converted on a few transition plays.
Yeah, there might be something in the water they're drinking tonight, Ryan. They definitely give them a boost of energy. I thought they might be a little slow from this back-to-back for the Braves, and we've seen it in the transitioning game as their transition defense is lacking, but that doesn't stop them from shooting the ball well on both ends.
As mentioned before, the Pilots with only one import with Sonny Sakakini and Jeff Ayers out with injury. Probably nothing that'll keep him out of the playoffs, but enough that they want to rest him up as Zaitsev, no good with that 3. Both teams already slotted for their playoff positions in a battle against each other. Zhang Zhenya around the elevator and knocking it down. He made his first one to start the game, and that's kind of what it takes for Zhang Zhenya. But on the other side, collegiate teammate KJ showing whose league it is.
Yeah, the crowd's definitely getting hyped up as we've been seeing a trading of three-point blows.
And killer Guan Daiyao gets in the action. It's more or less an all-star game by this point.
Yeah, we're seeing a an array of three-pointers just falling from the sky. It's just been raining this entire evening so far.
JJ chasing after his own board, but a little bit of a tie-up with his collegiate teammate Amdi. Bandayo to Calvin. He needs to jump in on the action. Too strong with it. That was a lot of fun to. Too bad Jiangdong's not in attendance as Hudson University grads trading buckets. Amdi trying to play tough against Zaisev. Not an easy task. As in transition, there's a foul and it'll be free throws.
Yeah, it's definitely not. The two bigs battling it out. It all comes down to footwork and some technique at some point, but you know, height and size play a huge factor as well. So we'll see which one ends up the winner as we keep continuing this game.
Jason Washburn pushed in the back. Get a trip to the line. Making the first in yesterday's contest, it was Captain Rizungu who tried to deliver a blow to Johnson in transition, and that retaliation was Johnson dragging him to the floor, and both were called for a double foul instead of any specialty fouls. Though the frustration continued, especially on the Brave side. Still in their 2-3 zone. Johnson will try from the free throw line close, but this time Zaisev in the right spot. He's fouled and it'll be free throws. Both teams looking like they're fans of running in the game. So Li Huan will head to the bench. Zaisev in yesterday's action. 18 points, 9 rebounds. He himself had 6 turnovers. Today, 6 points. Gonna get the Braves a little closer to the Pilots total. Be a lot of substitutions for the two teams today, and presumably next time they play the Pilots on Saturday in Kaohsiung against the Steelers, and the Braves on game 120 against the Lioneers in Hsinchu. Driving kick, Ethan hit from 45 earlier. Misses there, and here come the Braves in transition. Nobody checks Lightingun, and Cooper will blow it at the rim. Johnson kind of double team on the rebound.
You know, like we've mentioned, the Braves and the Pilots playoff matchup is already set, so there's going to be a lot of subs in and out of this game. The Braves, you know, the second game of a back-to-back, so we'll try to keep up with the different players coming in and out, and maybe if that'll affect their strategy throughout the rest of this game.
Defensive rebounding percentage, both teams right around 70%. Keep an eye out on that. Looks like Ambi was trying to post up Johnson, but they go the other way. Ethan given a step, will try the three, and it airballs. Johnson with momentum. Zaisev the target, and fouled from behind. Justin trying to claim his innocence as Zaisev missed the layup, but it won't count because of the foul. Still could be a dangerous play. Let's get another look. There's not much that threw Zaisev off.
Maybe just a little hand in the back right before he went up, but it seems like they just want to make sure the players are safe. You know, any contact could be dangerous, but you know, didn't see much of a push off there on that layup.
The referees are going to the monitor, so the foul will count. Now it's a matter if it will be a specialty foul or not. Yesterday we have had a number of stoppage. As we mentioned, there was the double foul in the game. There was the shove to the rib cage of Jeremy Lin right before the end of the first half, if I recall. And then there was, on the other side, Jeremy's half-court heave attempt. So there was plenty of time that the producers and colleagues over at Momo TV had to help out with the officiating. Added to the length of the game. Looking at some of our pregame notes, the Braves, of course, no strangers to the playoffs. They've made it all 3 years of the Plus League, though the amount of games they had to rest or prepare has been different. And in fact, they say it's an unsportsmanlike, so there was indeed something there that we didn't quite catch. Maybe we'll get it on our replay. Zaitsev 2 free throws and the Braves possession. There we see the shove, and thankfully Zaitsev landing safely, but the referees deemed that there was enough of a foul there.
Yeah, mentioning the Braves' experience in the playoffs specifically, with all these younger players might not have as much experience in, postseason games. So the Braves definitely have a slight advantage, I would say, in terms of being in those big moments. Because if you get a stretch of bad games, your season's over. So we'll definitely see how that experience might translate for this particular postseason next week.
That'll be Justin's 4th specialty foul if you're following on the Plus League website. Johnson, a fancy step back jumper. Early post up for Washburn. He's fouled by KJ, trying to hang on there.
Yeah, that's a tough matchup when you got Washburn sealing you out there down on the post. As we see that entry pass, caught him right on the arm, but he had him sealed out pretty well, and if he didn't foul him, I feel like Washburn would have had that easy layup there on that little turnaround.
Number 42 can't convert on the first one. So as we mentioned, the Pilots have 2 games to tune themselves up. In season 1, that was actually the same case. Washburn 0 for 2 on the trip. The lead is only 4 points. Steve-O from the mid-range.
Both teams have cooled off a little bit from their hot shooting that we've seen in the second quarter. So maybe they'll find some more creative ways to get that ball in the basket.
Ethan in the wrong place, had that one stripped away. A challenge and a foul by Justin. That one's also kind of hard to take, as it looked like he was giving ground. Taking on KJ. There was some contact down low too. That is theoretically the A to B foul in the rule book. There's some frustration for number 69. It's going to be a free throw matchup. Right now the Braves are perfect 8 for 8. Pilots not too shabby, 7 for 9, having missed the last 2. Jackie will try the fancy step back, and a heave is good.
There's wonderful patience there by Jackie. Made sure not to push it or create anything unnecessary, and you saw the open space to pull that 3 and made sure to hit it.
Now Zijian playing the rover in the zone as Johnson buries it from mid-range.
Johnson's been shooting that shot there at the mid-range free throw level, and it seems like it's been open every time, and that's one of the dangers of the 2-3 zone, is that high post area and the three-point shooting. So let's see Johnson get some more shots there.
Washburn avoiding the block, but could not get enough on the shot. Pilots are going to be disadvantaged. Steve-O in the corner, tough pass to Z. Over to open KJ. That ball took some odd angles as it knuckled to the hoop, but 53-53. We're tied up with less than a minute to go, I should say.
Washburn was a little late to come back on defense after that initial missed shot. He might have been a little slow to get up, but that just led for the easy skip pass, as you see right there, for the wide open three-pointer.
The Braves want to maybe exact a little bit of vengeance for yesterday's embarrassing loss. The margin of that game was as big as 35 points for the Steelers. Eventually closed it out a little bit at the end.
If Andy don't have pass, swing the ball, okay? Attack this, they are sometimes switching. Attack this. This is me? Yeah. Play the screen and that. Look, hey, if he's so, run the set. If he's so, run the set. Let's go, let's go. Hey, man to man. No zone, man to man.
So that makes our job easier, anticipating what the Pilots will play. In the second quarter, the Pilots are actually 6 for 12 shooting the three, and the Braves 5 for 10. Cooling off, you could say, just a little bit. KJ Hongaijie tying his personal high in three-pointers made with 5 already on the game. He's leading the Braves, and in fact, leading the game in scoring.
Still plenty of time to go for the rest of this game, but not as much time in the second quarter. As we heard, the Pilots are going to go man-to-man in this final possession on defense.
To Andy for the corner three, overshoots it, and Washburn in the right place. Trying to go with power and sneaks it in. There's the score. Let's see if they can get a stop. The Braves are probably going to hold for one last shot.
We'll take a look to see if this man-to-man defense out of the switch of the zone will see what results we can find.
A too-high look over Zaitsev. Tip pass, Winston right-handed hook, no good, and as much as KJ tried, didn't have the angle, but 53 to 53, oh no, 55 to 53, excuse me. Don't forget Jason Washburn's bucket to finish the first half. This little tune-up game between the Braves and Pilots. We'll be going to halftime, breaking things down from Hoping Gymnasium.
有参加我们摊位 LP 品牌与台北富邦勇士所联名推出的护腿套，那么也请大家恭喜2位得奖的是6442、6442以及2639、2639，请2位带着你的纯根联到2楼的 LP 品牌摊位来直接领奖哦，恭喜！接下来我们要来抽出神预测得主，上半场得到为勇士拿到第20分的勇士球员就是。 恭喜我们的赖廷恩。好，比尔，帮我抽出3位朋友，可以获得由默默购物所提供的卡纳赫拉的小动物给你温暖造型抱枕毯，以及 B&F 香研所的花园系精油扩香。3位朋友。好，马上来为各位揭晓，第1位的是4273、4273、4273，第2位4610、4610、4610，第3位5197、5197。以上3位，待会记得带着你的纯根联来领奖，我们由默默购物所提供的礼物要送给大家。接下来再次提醒我们有拿到小球的参赛者，帮我来到场中。 先来到2边篮筐后方来集合报到。来，还有5位朋友，那个球不是礼物哦，包含我们的台湾印材股份有限公司的2位朋友。今天感谢你们一起团体企业包票来力挺台北富邦勇士。来拿到小球的朋友，赶快来到2边篮筐后方来做集合哦。 我们要来进行中场游戏，要跟着 Fin 一起为各位叠出新高度。看到我们场中央已经准备的就是我们要来进行叠叠乐的道具，也请拿到小球的朋友，还有4位朋友，赶快来到2边篮筐后方集合。那个小球不是礼物，我们还有更棒的礼物要来送给你。 来提醒有拿到小球的朋友，赶快来到两边篮筐后方来集合报道。好，帅哥赶快。好，拿到小球的朋友，移动你的脚步，帮我从篮筐后方 B 区这边一起来到场中，赶快。还缺2位朋友哦，还缺2位朋友。好，我们第1回合的都要先就位，对不对？好，那你先帮我到这边。那第1回合这边是哪一位？妹妹吗？好，来比尔，派出你来代打，你来上篮，妹妹来叠积木，好不好？好，那比尔待会你要帮妹妹上篮，然后呢，比尔他投进，你就可以找一个积木叠上去。啊，他要投进才可以叠哦。好啊，然后掉下来的就是输的。所以这位美女了解吗？你要上篮进的时候，赶快。
Game 116 of the Plus League regular season. I'm Ryan Chen, joined by Kyle Hudson on the broadcast.
Thank you, Ryan. We've had a very interesting first half so far.
On the Mandarin side is Wang Zichun and Mark Tianhongkui taking care of the Mandarin broadcast. And if you need the reminder again, the Pilots and Braves will be matched up in a best-of-5 series in a couple of weeks. The first game Saturday here in Hoping Gymnasium. So the team's probably holding back a little bit of something. There's the combined team statistics where major improvement by the Braves. Only 7 turnovers in the first half. Of course, the fireworks display by both teams have been impressive.
Yeah, these 3-pointers that are just raining down from the sky is definitely something that we'll try to see if they can keep up that high percentage in the second half.
What's interesting is this season series is supposed to be the lowest scoring of all 15 of the matchups at only 82.7 points per game. But maybe that their status of season standings and maybe the playoff implications out of the picture. Maybe both teams are playing a little bit looser now. Certainly on the Pilot side, pushing the pace even more so than they usually are.
Yeah, as we've seen, the matchup is next week in the playoffs, so this is just kind of a feel game, just to kind of see what both teams might expect next week. So maybe they're giving it a little more effort, but also they know that nothing is really at stake at this one compared to what it'll be next week, when it's either play and win or lose and go home.
Jason Washburn with a few highlight dunks in transition, but the shows mainly belong to number 27 for the Pilots, Zhang Zhenya. And on the Brave side, it's number 11, KJ Hong Kai-jie. 2 shooters with kind of different roles on the team and certainly different experiences, with Zhang Zhenya being in his first year as a pro, but KJ has been around the block a few times.
Well, experience is definitely important, but it's not everything, as we've seen here today. As you get your open shot, you get to your spots, you shoot, you make them. You got to adjust on the fly, and we've seen them come out ready to play today.
One positive sign, especially on the Brave side, is second overall pick Pauian. In only about 8 minutes of action, scoring 8 points relatively efficiently, but of course, having to also figure out exactly how to play in the Braves' defensive system, more or less. Now bringing the leading scorers with Mayao Zhang Zhenya, along with Jason Washburn tied with 13 points apiece. Then you got a trio of 5-point scorers for the Pilots. And on the Brave side, KJ Hong Kai-jie with 17 leads the game, followed by Igor Zaisev, who's knocked down a few threes. Chen Fan with 8. Chris Johnson getting a start along with Zaisev on back-to-back days. And Lai Tian coming off the bench and providing a little bit of fire support too. We'll go to one last break and the start of the second half in about 8 or 9 minutes.
看哦。来，最后那个回合。好，来，恭喜挑战成功。好，那我们就请3回合的代表都一起来领奖，一起来到场中央。我们来一起，这个就不要收了，就一起合照好不好？就让他一起合照。来，我们6位参赛者一起来到中间合影。来，第2也一起来合影哦，帮我带小朋友。好，可以看到他们可以获得的就是由醉酒提供的心情好去无敌饮料1箱啊。没有获胜的也可以获得我们的这个饮料哦。来，先看前方摄影师哦。来看这边，可以的。好，谢谢，恭喜你们来看球赛，还有1箱饮料可以带回家，也非常感谢并提供这么棒、这么大方的礼物。接下来要来颁发的是神绿色的颁奖，我们请迪尔留步来，请获得我们某某所提供的礼物的朋友来到中间，来恭喜！好，我们某某手也来往中间移动好不好？来，安娜帮我带着某某手中间，好，好看中间哦。可以获得某某公主提供早安后的小动物给你温暖照顾爆能彩，以及进来3连手的保养精油豆浆，谢谢，谢谢你们，恭喜你们哦！好，接下来大家可以看到我们环境的荧幕上面。
揪过来，揪过来！好消息，爆利哉呀！相信今天有进场的所有球迷朋友们都有拿到我们为你准备的 TT 波特曼面膜，而且今年我们面膜代言人就是我们的富邦 Angels 啦。那在这边也要跟大家分享一个好消息，因为母亲节要到来啦，所以我们波特曼面膜这边也推出一个全新的优惠，在母亲节优惠，我们要提醒大家有我们的分享礼盒，那么希望大家都可以一起下单，然后照顾自己的妈妈或者是自己的另一半，让我们一起跟着 TT 波特曼面膜，而且只要15分钟哦，就可以快速的保养你。还有是不是还有一个好消息？还有一个好消息，这次呢，我们跟Momo购物推出主题周，当然啦，在5月20号之前，我们Momo购物也推出了母亲节 shopping 的活动，只要到Momo购物网来下单选购，当天下单，母亲节下单还可以送你麦当劳麦香鱼，太好了，太好了，而且太多好康都在Momo购物。话不要说那么多，打开你的手机，来到Momo购物，一起下单吧。
因为水，我们更团结；因为水，我们更健康；因为水，我们
just about ready to get started for the second half. The season series between the Taipei Fubon Braves and the Taoyuan Pauian Pilots is 4-3. Loss, win, 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 loss, win, loss if you're the Braves. The interesting thing was, while the Braves were at the East Asia Super League competition, the Pilots lost 2 home games in a row, and that's where they swapped positions. A couple of the Pilots crew cheerleaders in attendance to watch their team. As we recap some of the first half exploits by both teams, the biggest note for the Braves is they have a lot of these 3-point opportunities, and maybe not completely open, but they certainly have plenty of breathing room out there, unlike in yesterday's game against the Steelers.
Yeah, definitely. The Pilots here are playing that 2-3 defense, which is known to give up a lot of threes, and that little mid-range jumper that Johnson has been shooting very, very well so far. So we'll see if there's any adjustments from the Pilots there.
Yeah, especially the way the Pilots love to pack in the paint. Don't give up anything there. You also throw in a couple tricky ones even by Brendan Smart, for example. The Braves, coming off of a loss in yesterday's matchup, want to send off their home portion of the regular season off on a high note. The second highlight package to Phil Pauian. One of the youngsters we highlighted in the pregame notes that we don't see more of. He had a high of 29 minutes played back against the Pilots in the start on the last time they played each other, April 23rd, and his high in scoring was on all the way back on December 17th, a home win against the Steelers, where he scored 18 points on 5 of 9 shooting, 7 of 7 from the line. Pilots start off with the basketball. Washburn, baseline jump hook.
It's always great to get that first basket in coming out of a half. So we'll see if that momentum right there can push the Pilots ahead and try to open up this lead a little more.
From the corners, Jet Zhang Dongxin, who's just a little bit out with that three. Back to Andy, who hit one in the early parts and 1 for 1 in the second half.
Now we see these 3-pointers continue to fall here, even at the start of the second half. We still see the Pilots in that 2-3. Let's see if they give up some more threes here early.
It's going to be tricky with Jet Zhang Dongxin in there. Not much of a threat on the corners. Andy fighting Zaitsev hard. There's some contact, and Andy staying on the floor. I don't think the rest of his Pilots teammates recognize.
Yeah, hopefully he's all right. I think he's still up. Oh, there he
comes.
Yep.
He's good enough to get back in. That's a good sign. But only 8 seconds on the clock. Ethan from deep center field out to Mayo. The three is on the way and out. Eventually stopped by the Braves. They allowed that after timeout basket. Trying to get the first point since Chris Johnson halfway down and out. And he hit one earlier in the half, but that one dances off the rim. I've mentioned he's not had that many attempts in his Plus League career, but right now looking like a big threat on the outside. But called for a foul in transition there. Now Caminos trying to get the referees to call it the same way on both sides of the floor. Zaitsev to Jet on the side. Taking it inside, dropping it behind as here Zaitsev completely airmails it. Still fighting and eventually finding the crease to score. Took a lot of effort for Big Z there.
Yeah, we like seeing those offensive rebounds. Definitely staying with that play, grabbing it, putting a little shoulder, and creating enough space to flip it over on the rim.
Washburn with a tricky step back, but it's an air ball short. Braves down by 5, trying to close the gap. Little curl play for KJ. Little baby jump hook. The lead is down to 3. This is one of those cases where the Pilots' offense is starting to get stagnant. Getting the screen from Andy. Ethan a little careless with it, now having to fight for possession as Big Z gets on the floor and takes it away. The big change for the Braves is Lai Ting-Un's in there. He goes to the rack and couldn't get it.
You know, the Pilots start to push the ball, but then, you know, as we mentioned, they're not the fastest team when it comes to transition points, and they just decided to hold it up and take some time to reset that offense. But
Andy from close, but lost the handle. It's going to be a miss awkwardly, trying to score on Johnson.
Seems like particularly this half, Ryan, the Pilots are having trouble to find some open shots, and you know, the Braves defense, we got to give them credit for that.
There's a bottom 3 by Chris Johnson, and we are tied up at 60. Johnson, yeah, on the catch. He finally calms the waters for the Pilots. So far, having his best game as a rookie. Has a couple steals, but no other stats besides those, well, very much needed points. Jet. A little too casual with the teardrop. Washburn from the outside. Tried posting him up a lot in the first half. Only the first possession here in the second. Push pass out to Ethan. His 3 and misses everything. You know, well, that's Ethan's big weakness so far on the season. Only about a 25% three-point shooter, but some of those misses are very far off.
You know, both the Pilots and the Braves here, they're not scared to shoot the 3. We've seen them have success in the first half, but they're not falling as much, so we might need to see some adjustments from both teams here from outside the arc.
Johnson over the head of Zaitsev to Jet. Interesting out of bounds. They say it'll stay with the Braves, but only 2.5 left on the clock. An interesting time. The Braves will be the benefactors of this television timeout coming up. Still a close one here in Taipei. Fubon Angels conclude their third quarter first timeout performance. Some on the hardwood, some in their what are so-called fashang, Di-Pais, on the second level of the audience. When we last left off, the Braves have a baseline out of bounds. As you see, former Brave Kerry Jones, PJ, in attendance. Yesterday we had Dwight Howard and amongst many different royalty and special guests to watch Jeremy Lin play in this building for the only time in his Plus League first season. To the corner, and they say offensive foul as Amdi went to the floor. Looks like it should be on Zaisev. So much for that 90-second planning.
Oh yeah, you see a little shove there, just trying to create a little space. You know, maybe even for himself for that open pass in the corner, and just a little too much force there to draw that offensive foul.
Sure that the Braves are going to argue about flopping, but when you got two hands to the chest, it's kind of hard to argue.
Yeah, very difficult, especially when Zaisev is pushing up on you. I mean, I'm pretty sure neither of us could take one of those pushes.
I feel like both of us might not be able to hold him back. Washburn at the high post as the Pilots run down the shot clock. Jackie will try from three. It's off short. Another chance for the Braves. They want to try to tie it up here as Lai Ting-un challenged by two. Little 3-on-4 for the Pilots until the rest of their squad shows up. Washburn to Killer Kwan. Back to Washburn and a brick. Look it down the other way. Zaisev spinning and a nice soft hook shot.
We're going to see a lot more transition coming down in this second half as, you know, both these teams are going to start to get tired. So whoever can push the ball more and get those easy buckets early on, I think might pull away with this.
And there's a tied personal high 19 points by Zhang Zhengya.
Yeah, he's came out definitely ready to play, hitting the majority of his three-pointers today. So it's definitely a huge boost in scoring that the Pilots need.
This time the response is from Lai Ting-un. On the game at 9 points. Keeping pace as Guan Da-yo with a awkward turnover there on the carry. Chance for both teams to bring in their subs. And once again, it's Pong Pong, Justin, and Ayao in together. That threesome did not play well in the first half. The Braves bringing in Phil and Josh.
Now we see that 2-3 zone still continue. They've definitely given up a lot of three-pointers so far, but you know, their offense has held up as well and are keeping them in the game.
This time the difference is Washburn's in the middle. Zaisev faking, not seeing an open teammate until Phil's got a chance. Can't find the range. Pilots hang on to the lead. Josh finally catches up to Justin and commits the foul. It's only the third foul of the quarter between these two teams. Falling out of bounds, Ayao gets it into Washburn, who avoids everyone and gets the bucket. No, they say offensive foul. They'll hustle down in frustration.
Oh, Washburn had his left arm out, maybe a little arm bar to, as we see right here, to just create a little space. You know, Johnson coming over, he's got really long arms, he has a good vertical on him. So just maybe pushed off a little bit on his left arm to create that space to get that shot off, and the referees blew their whistle on it.
By context, Johnson being doubled over doesn't look odd as another three, but this time it's TJ jumping in. TJ, who the Braves project as a point guard in the league, being drafted 5th overall in the latest amateur draft. Ayao tries a tough step back. Braves with a 2-point lead, but that one over the top. They say foul on the bodying. Let's see if it's on Pong Pong or Guan Da-yo. Really unnecessary, as at least the Pilots had a big back there. Tokyo trying to deliver a little bit too ambitious, but it should be on Pong Pong. Oh no, the producers put it on number 28, Sushi out. Tokyo, he is money with those floaters. skill to have. If they're going to have Taoyuan especially handle a lot. Pilots switch sides. Washburn and Justin in a two-man game. Partially deflected, hanging on to it. Will take the tough two and got it.
That was great recovery there by Justin. Even though he had the ball poked away, able to recover quickly, take that one quick dribble and hit that jumper.
Dicep right in the middle, creating some problems for the pilot zone. Now backward, Taoyuan with a second look. He doesn't miss. Assist to Big Z.
Well, those floaters, I feel like, are very underutilized, but definitely an important skill, like you said, Ryan, and it's come in handy for these last 2 points.
Taylor Kwan picks up his teammate Washburn on the missed post-up shot. So 70 to 72.
Oh, I hear they're matching up.
Phil will try from three. Haven't taken an attempt in a while.
Well, we'll see if the Pilots switch over to a man-to-man defense coming down on this next possession. As I think I heard the coach saying to match up.
Ayao. Justin from the deep corner, but it'll rim out. Sujiao did play point guard a lot in the first year of the Plus League. A nice dump-off pass by TJ. Big Z with the one-handed flush.
We saw Washburn there, a little slow to get back on defense, and without that big presence down low, it's an easy dunk by Zysep.
Wandayo calling the play. Seems like they're trying to get the cross screen for Washburn. And oddly enough, Taoyuan commits the foul on Justin, not even looking to attack. A good two-man game. That's definitely taking a page out of Taoyuan's playbook, always on the move. You see previously TJ with a nice dump-off pass. We build it briefly, but number 24 Jin Tingzao versus number 30 Bayao said both 183 centimeter guards. They end up being best friends on the Plus League Rising Stars team. Two youngsters who've traveled quite a bit. Back to them when we see them on the floor. So Chen will get a catch and shoot three off back iron. There you see number 5 Wayne leans the way, fresh into the ball game. Going to Big Z as Ayao jumps in the foul. They did have a foul to give, about a minute and a half to go. Leans the way is actually the only pilot that hasn't got that much of a look on the floor. To be fair, he is a rookie. 30 minutes played in 5 games played, so it's not like he's had 0 opportunities, but with this game and another left, we'll see if Caminos gives him his shot.
You know, even though you might not get the most playing time, the minutes that you do get, you gotta capitalize as all this experience adds up in the long run, so you never know.
Because the next lowest minutes played is Andy with 200. That time, Pong Pong played the smarts on smart. Unintended. A little extra shove, and Smart not so happy with the body, but looks like he was the one creating all the contact on that play.
Yeah, once Pong Pong got into position, it's hard to adjust from there, as you either gotta foul him or you gotta stay straight up. It seems like Smart just gave a little too much contact for the referee's liking.
Pong Pong, or Chen Guanquan, switching from 30 in the first 2 seasons to number 15. A number from his student playing days. He's not had a single game start in this season, trusted by Caminos to come off the bench, as the Pilots matching up on D. Under on Josh Taoyuan, he punishes them. Trying to find his man back on defense. They call a foul early. Looks like it will be free throws though. Pong Pong cutting in. 3 fouls on Phil. Again, need to up his defensive game, especially when it comes to one-on-ones. I think that's step number one before you even get integrated to the team defensive concepts at the pro level.
Yeah, it's very difficult to be able to find playing time. I mean, he has been efficient on the offensive end, but if you're getting beat all the time on the defensive end, that could create some liability issues when it comes to giving up points on the other end.
Justin can't convert there. Now it's the Pilots who find themselves down by 5. Hanging on, Zue commits the foul. Shooting or not, it will be free throws for TJ.
A little tough defense there. He was chasing over the screen, which is what you want. Oh, maybe caught him up on the arm there, a little tangled up, but I like the hustle, getting over that top screen. You know, they just gave up 3 on the other end by Josh, so you got to go over that screen in order to limit the damage.
TJ, funny enough, in for KJ in an important game as the Braves down the stretch. I believe it was against the Dreamers a few Saturdays ago. KJ got a big offensive board, but ended up having a nosebleed. So Coach Rogers said those two guys were in the same shooting group, shot on the same basket before the game, and that's why he made the choice. Seeking out, trying to find space. As Zue get an open look off the mark, and it just say ball out of bounds. So I think both Amty and Josh trying to get a whistle out of that play.
Yeah, both got tangled up there. One got under the other, and you know, with 2.32 seconds left, we'll see what the final play will be.
Just a ball out of bounds, as you saw in the replay there. Looked like a little bit of extra stuff going on.
Have to get a quick shot. Yep.
Shot clock turned off. Down to TJ from almost 3/4 court. Hits the shot clock. Don't damage that. We've had problems in this building. But at the end of 3 with 1 final frame to go, the Braves have taken the lead on the last home game of the season.
跟自己的妈妈说声母亲节快乐！在下周就是母亲节啦，我们跟着 Mike， 跟着 Johnson 一起来跟自己的另一半还有妈妈说声母亲节快乐，敬礼！来了，辛苦你了，敬个礼，跟自己的妈妈说声母亲节快乐，跟着某某购物一起宠爱女王节，小朋友跟妈妈说声母亲节快乐。Hello， 2位美女，敬个礼，来致敬辛苦的妈妈们。好，这位妈妈，你辛苦了，全场给她点掌声好吗？照顾辛苦的小朋友，母亲节快乐，祝福你。好，2位敬礼，跟自己的妈妈说声母亲节快乐。好，这位非常享受的球迷朋友，敬个礼。小朋友跟妈妈说声母亲节快乐吧，敬个礼。好，2位朋友，不要怀疑，就是你们，敬个礼，感谢每一位辛苦的女王。2位美女，欢迎你们喽！来喽，一起敬个礼，辛苦了，母亲节快乐！2位喝着满上饮料的朋友，敬个礼。辛苦这位妈妈了，掌声鼓励！带着小宝贝还需要来力挺勇士。
The biggest applause for that segment, save for the lady with a baby in her lap. The Braves hosting their last home game on the season have a little bit of technical difficulties, but it's our chance to kind of talk through some of the context of teams before they head into the playoffs. I kind of did the math here, and the Braves in season 1 on March 14th clinched the playoffs 20 out of 24 games, or 83% of the season. Season 2 on April 10th, 23 out of 30 games in the season, or 77%. And then in season 3, this season, it was back on April 15th, 33 out of 40 games, or 83% of the season. So the Braves are no stranger to having an adjustment period. And so I'm kind of wondering, Kyle, what kind of things will head coaches and staffs key in on as they prep for the playoffs, not having to stress it out or sweat it out to the very end?
Well, you know, definitely, Ryan. They've been preparing for this the entire season. They've been scouting not only the Pilots, but all the other teams in the league as well. So it's pretty much just coming down to fine-tuning everything, as they'll definitely watch these last couple Pilots games, and definitely this game as well, as they'll break it down to see what exactly they need to do. They want to make sure their players get enough rest, especially from this back-to-back from the Braves. You don't want your players injured right before the big games, but they do have to be in enough shape and have enough experience to make sure they're in the right form when it comes down to the big stage, which is next week.
Actually, in a couple weeks, next week for a few other teams is really the start of the playoffs, if you can say. And the combined most three-pointers made previously is 36 between the Kings and the Braves, as Roger's getting a little bit more time to address, especially the youngsters on the team. But it's a tough line to balance because, if, for example, in yesterday's game, Coach Roger dutifully had all of his vets in there, and he even commented in the post-game that they were kind of saving themselves in, I guess, maybe not an ideal fashion, not playing that hard on defense, maybe avoiding some of the physicality that is still necessary to play the strong defense that they want, for example. And they ended up getting blown up by the Steelers. It wasn't even as close as the final score would suggest. But meanwhile, on the Pilot side, a team who did make the playoffs the first season, though the context for that was it was on April 3rd, the third to last game of the season, so they had two more. Happened to be against the Braves, once at home, once on the road. But that stopped a losing streak of 6 games and 8 losses in 10 games overall. And for the Pilots, their victory was against the Dreamers, who had a whole bunch of guys suspended to the altercation the week before against the Lioneers. So the Pilots, maybe under head coach Caminos, have maybe a different game plan or maybe a different approach to how they get into their playoff mode. Though what works in their favor is they did notch a victory here at Hudson Gymnasium, as mentioned previously, 0-9. So everything starts anew when you get to those playoff series in the end.
Oh, exactly, Ryan. Not only the physical part of basketball, but the mental part should not be overlooked, as you know, having a big win, getting your first win in a specific gymnasium is a big mental hurdle that puts you in the right direction for not only this specific game, but also for the rest of the series that's coming in a couple weeks. And, you know, not necessarily this game counts for a lot, but on the mental side, if you can get this win today, you feel like you have an edge when it comes to playoff time.
Similarly for the Braves, they probably also want to defend their home court a little bit better. In last year's first series, they did take the first 2 games at Taizong. That surprised everyone. On the season, the Braves at home are 13-3, which is tied with the Kings for the best percentage. The Kings actually had today's game pushed to Tuesday, as they are sharing the arena with another pro basketball team in Taiwan. But on the road, both the Braves and the Kings have been pretty solid.
You know, as we touched upon in the past, you know, being the home team or the away team does have a lot of pull in terms of how well you play. You definitely want to be in a stadium that you're comfortable with and with the crowd that's supporting you. So we'll see the Braves have the home court advantage and maybe that could give them a little edge, but we'll see here tonight as the Pilots are putting up a great fight as this game will come down to the wire, I feel like.
Right now, the producers working on their basketball smarts and pointing out the Braves have got a lot of open looks from the very top of the key. And if you think about it, having capable bigs to shoot the three between Johnson or Zaitsev, that shooting threat, obviously, if you make them, it's to your credit. But if the Pilots suddenly overcommit to that spot, it'll open up all the corners on the floor in the half-court offense.
Yeah, exactly. Having a big up top, you know, like you mentioned, whether they can shoot the ball or even drive it, just that height and that vision that they have of the entire court, they're able to see both corners, they can see the block. Pretty much everyone on their team is in their eyesight. And, you know, just having that ability to shoot the ball and maybe even draw a double team in could give the extra possession to find an open teammate, whether that be back cuts. We've seen a lot of back cuts so far, or maybe a quick, swift pass to the corners or to the wing to get an open three shot up. And, you know, so far both the Braves and the Pilots have shown they are willing to shoot the three, whether that be off transition or in sets, off the dribble, off the pass. Pretty much anytime, anywhere, we've seen that three ball go up today. And, you know, in the second quarter especially, they were shooting the ball extremely well at halftime. Both teams were shooting, I believe the Pilots were shooting almost 50% and the Braves were shooting 60% in the first half. So we'll definitely see some more three-pointers go up, I'd say, in this last quarter. And that's definitely something that I'd like to see, not only in terms of finding open spots, but, you know, creating those set plays. As we've seen the Pilots, they started off the game in 2-3 zone, but, you know, they've adjusted, and at the end of the third quarter, they switched to man. So we'll see if that does hurt the Braves at all. We'll see if that game plan has changed a little bit as we're starting the fourth quarter now.
Looks like they've not been able to fix the clock above the Pilot side of the court. And this is similar to the situation that the referees had to face in the finals of the year one. TJ has got to avoid everybody's attention for hitting the shot clock with that three-quarter court heave.
You know, maybe you just try to hit that shot clock to give both teams some more rest, as, you know, like we mentioned previously multiple times, this is a back-to-back game, so the Braves might be a little tired. Maybe a smart move on TJ's part to give him some extra rest.
Sijing out behind his head off of Taoyuan. The Pilots will hang on to possession. So the context to that first game of the finals, the two shot clocks on the two different sides actually weren't exactly lined up. So agreed upon by the refs and the teams, it would be this Brave side clock that they would go off of. Missed by Sijing Yao. The Braves trying to extend the lead. This time Josh misses from the middle, avoiding two defenders and the fancy footwork.
Oh, just that patience by Josh there after that missed floater. Very patient with the ball, hit him with a couple pump fakes. Both defenders blew by him for the left-handed layup.
Phone call will try from center field. Washburn hanging on to it. The third quarter in particular, Braves 26, Pilots 17. There's a offensive foul. We'll see who it's on.
Been seeing a lot of offensive fouls called today. You know, the referees are right on top of it, even though I'm pretty sure that was an off-ball foul.
There's the two pump fakes and the step through. Funny enough, it works on even smaller players who are not leapers as the Braves keep it going. TJ with another bucket in the fourth quarter, and that's the Pilots needing another reset with this timeout as they've looked completely discombobulated. We'll be going to our last TV timeout, our regulation.
看到反毛，暂停结束。
Back from the break, voting for the best home stadium and the best cheerleaders begins tomorrow. Follow the Plus League on Facebook, Instagram, and Line to stay in the know.
You know, Ryan, we were at Hsinchu the other day, and they had the best rated, you know, stadium so far, and I can see why. But you know, here in Heping Gymnasium, also a very beautiful, beautiful gymnasium we're sitting in.
Caminos will stick with the same five that end up giving up 6-0 run to the Braves, and Justin is going to be called for 5 seconds, pressured by Zokoi. He fouled previously on that very same spot, but this time a little bit more disciplined and getting the violation. As Caminos argues, he really needs to draw something up better for his team than argue with the referees.
Yeah, we're seeing the Braves come out with strong defense, and it looks like the Pilots are having troubles to get a lot of open shots, as maybe they're waiting too long for a play to develop, and you know that just leaves the Braves to keep their defense set and make sure that they're on everything that the Pilots throw at them. As you see that early pressure, making sure the Pilots don't have any easy way to get passes off. As we see a steal right there, but a little mishandle as the ball goes out of bounds.
I think Caminos, if you to get into his psychology, will always say, I want my team to play even better defense, but right now, based on how that third quarter went, I don't think that's exactly the solution. They need to get more movement going. Zue, having a tough afternoon, will go out for Huang Honghan. The Pilots going with a veteran group after starting 3 rookies in the beginning of the game. Washburn given space, will miss the mid-range. DJ given some space himself from the free throw line. He keeps on adding to this lead.
Now, if the Pilots don't get a stop and a score here, we could see this Braves team go on a quick run and maybe pull this game out of, be able for the Pilots to come back. As we see, you know, just a lot of sloppy passes.
Almost trying to get it back, but he seems to have lost the shooting touch. An 8-0 run as Chris Johnson running into a wall, but they call a foul. And chance to add to this lead even more at the line. And as of right now, I'm going to have to be pretty critical of these Pilots veterans. They have not done well in the first, second, third, or fourth quarter. And Camino seems to want to pair the younger players together and the older local players together. And right now, the youngsters look like the more competitive group out there.
Yeah, hopefully in this last quarter, we'll be able to see a grouping where they'll be able to shine and, you know, take control of this game. Because right now, we're seeing a lot of sloppy passes from the Pilots. The Braves are getting a lot of touches on the balls as well. And, you know, as we saw in this last possession, that led to a fast break opportunity and, you know, got Johnson to the line.
So much for the high-scoring affair we talked about in the first half. Andy working with Justin in the two-man game. That one's in and out. At least a decent look. Smart trying to drive. Taking a tough jump shot himself. Lucky bounce of the basketball to the Pilots. Back to Washburn, the finger roll right over the top, and that ends a 9-0 run by the Braves.
We've seen that a couple times from the Pilots and Washburn where, you know, if they run the floor and they push the pace, usually the Braves defense doesn't get back.
JJ trying the alley-oop. Washburn pushes Johnson in deep, going to reverse. It's a stop by the Braves. This time a very high screener roll. DJ, nice timing with the clutch and the right-handed roll. Having a great game. Justin, quick fire 3. And just like that, the game is getting out of hand for the Pilots.
You know, when you're trailing, like right now, the Pilots may seem like they need to get some quick shots up to try to bring this game back, but they get in too much of a hurry, then, you know, they take quick shots like they did on that quick 3 and could pull this game farther and farther away as they're not taking that high quality shots that they need.
Smart tries a tough one. Justin to Andy. Retreated out to the top. Jinzhao, high of 19 points in the victory at Fubon Stadium as Andy drops it in with 2 hands. Nice dime by Ethan there. That was all the way back on March 25th. In today's game, he's got 14. That one blocked by Ethan. Little summertime roommate crime there. Under 7 minutes to go. Jimmy will come in and play in place of Smart. Had an up and down game. Funny enough, Coach Roger gave Smart credit for playing hard in the 3.5 minutes of the 4th quarter against the Lioneers when the rest of the team kind of had an up and down effort.
Yeah, definitely. You got to give your all, no matter how tired your legs are, as you know, one slip up could lead to a basket.
Short with the 3, and now Ethan leading the charge. Ray back to Ethan. Kind of awkward as 2 non-shooters trying to work together there. Down to Washburn. Johnson lurking. Not great spacing, but Andy open from the corner. Right now, the shooting touch is completely left the bench on the visiting side. KJ working with Johnson on the screen, getting by 1 with the left hand this time, and too much dribble penetration by the Braves.
Yeah, that was a beautiful play there. We saw the Braves take it a little slower there to get things to develop, and after that initial move, he was able to switch hands and go to the left side where the basket protected him from the Pilots' big.
This time Washburn holds off Johnson for the little hook shot. A little too careless with the pass. Now Washburn trying to start the break himself, and at least will get the foul. This time it's KJ once again, the last man back. I'm sure Roger still doesn't appreciate the turnover, but you see KJ even deceiving his collegiate teammate in Amdi there on the back line. So the thing about Roger and why he's not as animated as he can be, he actually kind of hurt his hip a couple weeks ago. So for one of the games, the fans smartly pointed out he was sitting the whole time. Very uncharacteristic of the Braves head coach.
Yeah, definitely those type of injuries can really act up and cause some lasting damage. So, you know, we hope that hip injury is healing up nicely and he'll be able to get back to his normal self.
KJ visiting Roger on the sideline, now jump back into action. Turning Ray avoiding everybody, but no, they say traveling. Well, maybe there was a reason why he was so open there. Mike did come in to help out there on the play, so. Winston finally in. Looking for the pass, but he got one taken away. And the Pilots seem to be struggling with what kind of rhythm they want to play with. They had a numbers advantage, but get the ball out as Jason Washburn finally knocks down his first 3 of the game.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it a lot. The Pilots are definitely having a harder time trying to get into their offense, get into their flow, and they're getting a lot of tough shots that they're putting up. So as we see, just to counteract that Braves team getting a lot of wide open shots right there, as we saw on that 3 attempt by Lightning.
A little poke to the face will be a foul on Winston. Didn't see that Washburn's all right, but maybe wincing a little bit. you need a reminder, the Pilots playing with only one active import on their roster today. Sakukini and Ayers not active for tonight's action with probably some nagging injuries. Certainly fatigue from what is the longest Plus League regular season as it's increased all 2 years after their inaugural season. Ball hand shot fake, now getting to the cup, leaving it for Andy, who throws it down with 2. And finally, a highlight-worthy play for the Pilots in the fourth quarter.
That was an amazing dump pass there. Drew the defenders right at him with the shot fake and got that nice little dunk, and maybe that can bring some energy for the Pilots down the stretch.
Andy jumping in there. Starting the Pilots break, but again, Pauian didn't look to attack and was an easy stop for the Braves. Down to Calvin, down to Andy, who gets another dunk. This time out physical with KJ trying to guard him from behind. And there's the Braves who need to call a timeout as the lead has shrunken down to 7.
I mean, as long as this Pilots team are able to engage 2 defenders like we saw right there, you know, one guy's going to be open, and in that case, Amdi was right there on the other side of the block to receive that pass. As we see that nice little dump, engage 2 defenders, Amdi right there for the dunk. Same thing here, 2 defenders engaged, and bam, just an easy slam.
I think that's your first bam of your broadcasting career. Let's listen to the Braves timeout.
进攻 Smart 跑第一拖车 ，Lee you go second trailer. You help TJ go first. Early jack or by one. By one. 文成、桂宇，所以先让他用第一波。拍皮跟落。我们用 early bang 的方式 ，early bang。所以在这边你走，你可以用就用，没有的时候，文成 ，Smart 在下面。 文成在这边，所以力会下档，这边再出来，这个进去，这个 flare 趴炮 ，after flare 趴炮，文成 flare 走下去，守住啊，啊，对。
Braves sending out what they hope to be is their best lineup for the rest of 3:41 left in the game. Amdi with 14 points, 12 rebounds. Got to throw in 3 blocks for his night, making his presence felt. He did get the start on the game next to Zhang Zhenya, Ethan Baiyao-Chen, fellow rookies and fellow first rounders, as Caminos working on his first game with a playoff ticket in hand. Down to Winston from the corner. The Pilots back off, and it was a smart choice. He airballs it. Here comes the team in orange and blue. Calvin looking for the screen. Dumping it back to Washburn, getting a Winston to commit a foul. That might play a little bit of a role. 3 team fouls on the Braves, only 1 to give.
Yeah, down the stretch, free throws can be very important as, you know, you're getting the chances to put points on the board, and that also stops the clock as well, so some easy points with no time losses, something that the Pilots might be looking for.
So the pistol game is all out with a fancy spin move, taking one out of the page of Beast, who's not active for tonight's action. Kind of risky, but dialed it up just right. A screen and a pass to the corner. Smart avoids one. Big rainbow. Pilots were down on numbers. And the pass tipped away smartly by Taoyuan, but it's just going to be out of bounds. A little bit of extra contact down the run, but maybe the referees think it was too far ahead. To give TJ some credit for smart play as Washburn finds himself down on the hardwood. Maybe took another shot to the face.
Yeah, he's holding the left side of his face there, trying to catch his breath, just making sure that he's all right. Checking for blood, but I don't think I see any.
That time you see taking an elbow to the face as Zaisev trying to pass it backwards.
Are you serious? Are you kidding me? No, don't tell me so. Are you serious? God!
Understandably, Washburn probably taking a lot of the contact as the only import in there for the Pilots.
Yeah, definitely catching an elbow to the face is not enjoyable, and you know when you don't get a call like that, you know it's tough to handle.
He'll be at least out for one play. Shot clock winding down on the pass back. TJ will force it up. Missing everything, it'll be a violation.
Yeah, tough shot there with clock winding down. You just want to get the ball up and have a chance for it to at least hit the rim to reset that shot clock, but just missed there.
Looks like Washburn is checking himself in, heading toward the scorer's table. Pilots without him for another play, and there's a bad mistake by Josh, fouling on the perimeter with a foul to give, but you're going to let the Pilots bring in their import. And so the thing you got to worry about of the Braves, you got to fire it up Jason Washburn, who's definitely out for revenge, because he had a chance to tie the game in a loss the Pilots had here against the Braves. The mid-range jumper at the end of regulation. Risky backdoor pass, and Calvin steps out of bounds. My point being, he might be playing heavy minutes today, but Washburn's probably going to stay fired up for the rest of regulation.
Yeah, for sure. We'll keep an eye on him on the defensive end. Make sure he stays a little active, and on the offensive end as well, we'll see him probably get some more touches to put the ball in the basket.
They pass away, flare screen for Josh. The contest finally comes, but it's in and out. So a good stop by the Pilots. Now they got to get the flow on offense. Allhan looking for Washburn, but he's forced out before 3 seconds. No movement on the Pilot side until Calvin trying to get the handoff in an awkward play. Floating it up there and in.
You know, we talked about the Pilots maybe having a little stagnated offense there, and it seems like it was for a little bit, but, you know, with that screen created some space, you know, as time's winding down in this last quarter.
DJ running and throwing off a pass, as now the Braves are looking for some momentum. Jokoyer stepping through and getting the layup. The lead is back up to 5.
We're seeing some full court pressure. A little live full court pressure, making just the Braves telling the Pilots, no, we're not going to make it easy on you.
Big problem for the Pilots right now. Not a lot of shooting out on the floor as the Braves switch to a zone.
You know, they recognize.
Backing down Josh. It's Henry Batu approach him. Forcing one up. No good, and a foul from behind, maybe. No, they say shot clock violation. A smart play by the Braves to switch up the defense, and like you give credit to, Jokoyer cost them 2 or 3 seconds, and maybe 2 or 3 seconds they needed to get set up offensively.
Yeah, for sure. The Braves realized, you know, there's not a lot of shooters on the Pilots side, so they can make sure to pack the lane a little bit to take away some of the bigs, you know, from empty and Washburn.
And then it's Taoyuan who commits the foul. So not a great sequence for number 00. You see the tough shot that he had to force up over the backboard, and as much contact there was, KJ had the awareness that it was a violation, as an awkward misconnection between the two Braves and a foul the other way. So a chance for the Pilots to get closer on the scoreboard with the clock stopped, and now we have to say, let's see if Jason Washburn can maybe calm down, sink these 2 important free throws. Only 35 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah, for sure. If he can hit these 2 free throws, they bring it into a 1-possession game.
Number 30, Ethan, is in there at point for the Pilots. Probably want as much speed as you can have out there. The bounce is out. And there's a whistle, though. It looks like somewhere on the opposite line. MD and Smart, former rivals in the collegiate level. Maybe deked him into one. Between Washburn, Ayers, and Sonny, the Pilots do have the slowest free throw shooting imports. There you see the move by Andy. And he gets his teammate a second chance. And that's kind of a smart play by the rookie.
Yeah, for sure. We see that defense coming up early. They want to make sure to get a stop so that, you know, they still have a chance to tie up this game without having to foul anymore.
There's about a 8 or 9 second shot clock, game clock difference. So they got to secure the rebound too. Zaitsev, nobody checks him, and the roll will go the Braves' way. 15 seconds left on the clock, and the lead is back up to 5. Certainly a little bit of panic if you're the Braves fan, but the defensive breakdown there.
Yeah, nice little slip by Zaitsev to create enough space to find that opening to put the ball in the basket to increase their lead.
The biggest thing was the Braves only had 1 turnover in the 3rd quarter, and so far in the 4th, they've committed 5, and that was a big assist. Zhou Guiyu demonstrating why Coach Roger and the Braves think so highly of him in the point forward position, and Zaitsev still gets it done. That time, nobody on the back line to come over to help. As you see, Amdi preoccupied with Smart shooting abilities probably also doesn't help.
You know, coming out of this timeout here, it's a 5-point game, so the Pilots don't necessarily need to put up a 3 here early, but we'll see what they want to come out with out of this timeout, whether they're going for that quick 2 or quick 3.
The total on the game, the Braves have 22 assists after yesterday's effort with 23. The highest number belonging to Chris Johnson, who had 6. As you see, Caminos give a hand to Chen Ray. One thing about Caminos is, as much as he liked his team in the start of the season, he's not afraid to switch to a lot of guys between Chen Ray and Li Jiakang. Didn't get any playing time to start the season, but became starters rotationally in the end. Now, Zhang Zhenya is in there in a close corner. Washburn comes up to catch. They're looking Zhang Zhenya's way as KJ getting his hands in there. Too much time going off the clock, running into Z, getting the layup, and immediately a timeout, but not exactly the most economical play the Pilots could have drew up.
No, like you said, Ryan, so much time was wasted there. Washburn had the ball at the top of the key for a good while as he was looking for shooters on both sides coming off of down screens, but you know, eventually he saw an opening, took it himself.
PJ 在这边，什么？有谁 screen for PJ？ 所以你要给这2个人，Z过来之后，所以 Z 没有礼物会来这一边。所以如果桂宇，你这边接不到球 ，Z 过来之后，你就快速的走掉 ，Z 出来接球。所以 TJ 桂宇，全场，Smart screen away。You screen for first one, second one, then go. 拿到球抱好，他会犯规，再发一次，再发一次。
The biggest takeaway from that timeout is Roger immediately pointing out that the Pilots have a foul to give. So he drew up a play that he told his guys he wants to run twice. Even if the Pilots foul or the Pilots maybe blow up the first action, Brendan Smart sounds like the main character in the 4 that will be on the floor in bounds. 5 seconds left. the Pilots in defensive desperation mode. First look to Josh denied, and KJ calls the 30-second timeout, so he wants to have the Braves talk it over. Good decision, as you don't want to take a dead ball violation. So we got another situation to draw, but saw on the floor, the Pilots also had Zhang Zheyan in there for a second time, needing the 3 on the other side.
PJ 去挡什么？例如过 here， 直接传进来。挡什么？过来，接下去这2个人，你直接走掉 ，Give and go， 这叫互挡，出来接，力准备会被犯规。Attack， only 5 ball， 5 second， 上挡，你来吧，放下去，来 ，Let's go。喂。
Switching it up, maybe want to look for Zaisev as the primary option. He has played 36 minutes, 17 points, 9 rebounds, but importantly, 4 for 4 from the line. In fact, the Braves 12 for 13 have been solid. So they get the inbound cleanly. KJ free at first, then Zaisev. They say foul from behind. A second and a half came off the clock, so relatively speaking, a good result for the Braves, but they got to inbound it again. Zhou Guoyu for Zaisev. The Pilots back off of it, as it seems like Jason Washburn wasn't aware that they wanted a foul, but an awkward situation as the referees need to double check the clock. They did get a whistle in. So we're told by our producers they're going to try to put half a second on the clock. That's not enough time, guys. It's got to be 0.0.5. But it looks like the Pilots are ready to call it an evening on their sideline, as you see General Manager Chen Xingyan standing nearby. And no, they will give free throws to KJ, but I would say that's a little bit too casual. These still count, son. Kind of just cosmetics now. Pretty decent three-quarter court heave by Ethan, but the result is sealed as the Braves, after taking a big loss yesterday, make a big comeback in the second half of this one. They're in the victory at 97-93. As we mentioned, it is a tune-up game for both teams, and as they will play each other in the first round, they're probably not even showing all their cards, and I would say they were holding a lot of cards back.
Oh yeah, for sure. You don't want to put everything out on the table before the real matchup, but as we mentioned, the mental game is a huge aspect, and just getting this win over the Pilots tonight will definitely give the Braves a little extra edge, a little more confidence that they'll be able to beat them again when it comes down to it in the playoffs.
But for the Pilot side, they only had Jason Washburn in there, who played a pretty solid game, though not without his bumps and bruises.
Hi, 你好.
There's TJ joining our post-game coverage with our Mandarin broadcast colleagues. Asked about his personal performance.
其实在中场的时候，教练有觉得我们其实打得不是很及格。那下半场我们就是尽快做调整。那我们也知道，年轻球员机会来了，那要把握不容易，所以我觉得就是尽力去打。那希望季后赛的时候，我们也可以发挥年轻人应该要有的水准跟比较经验不足的地方，然后刚好利用这场比赛，然后做一些经验的补足，然后就可以跟老将一起拼战季后赛这样子。
TJ saying that Coach Roger said at half that they weren't very playing without a lot of urgency.
其实是在防守端上，因为让他们得到55分。那如果上下半场都这样的话，换句话说，他们可能会得超过100分。那没有在我们的scout 里面，所以他觉得我们防守没有做到位这样子。
then sharing that the Pilots would have scored 100, and that's not in their game plans. And also saying that the kids need to earn minutes next to the vets in the playoff.
身体上他们的强度给的很足了。那其实，在战术方面的话，我们其实也分析了很多，那也不算陌生啊，基本上来说是这样子。
Then saying that the Pilots are a physical defensive team, and they knew that. Now getting the congratulations from the Mandarin broadcast colleagues by Mark.
好的，好，谢谢。
And that's been true for a few weeks, but we'll go to a break before wrapping things up with Hoping Gymnasium.
我们待会请廷照跟大家讲话好不好？跟大家约定好，下一次主场见就是要在季后赛，希望大家可以来继续进场。 好，待会先请廷照跟大家打个招呼。最后一场还是请他来跟大家好好讲个话，再来送出签名球。好，来，我们先请廷照跟大家打个招呼。来，廷照来中间，跟所有勇士的球迷朋友打个招呼。
Hello， 大家好。
好，接下来先给廷照掌声鼓励。 今天表现非常好，那我们来也请廷照。接下来我们下次要跟所有这么多勇士球迷在这边见面，要等到季后赛，要不要跟大家分享一下，或是呼吁大家一定要进场来支持我们？交给你来号召大家。
希望大家在季后赛的时候能够进场帮我们加油，那我们也会尽力打出最好的表现，谢谢。
掌声送给廷照，马上请廷照来送出今天他的签名球。 拿出你的热情！还有，最后一颗！再次掌声送给 PJ 简廷照。好的，所有的勇士伙伴们。 还是要提醒大家，记得先加入我们台北富邦勇士官方 LINE 的好友，才不会错过接下来我们一系列的消息，特别是大家最关注的季后赛资讯，相关的主题啊，相关的票价。
It's a final here where the last matchup between the Pilots and the Braves have concluded.
It's a great game tonight, Ryan, and I'm glad to be here for another matchup. It's our third day in a row, and concluding our three-day trip.
One last game on the week for the Plus League, though. It's a bonus Tuesday night basketball game between the Shinzu Jiekou Lioneers, who had to play recently very short-handed against the Kings, who have demonstrated that they're also making their adjustments for the final playoff push with the #1 seed already secured. It's Wang Zichun and Taoyuan Kui on the Mandarin broadcast. As we kind of reflect on the game, the biggest thing for me is both head coaches were kind of testing out their young players, and I would say both squads had young players step up to the challenge today.
Yeah, for sure. We saw Chen shoot the ball very well from early. We didn't see him much in the second half, but you know, when you get the opportunities, you got to put the ball in the basket. Same for Chen. He very efficient in the first half, had 8 points really quick, and definitely made the most of his minutes. So we'll definitely see these youngsters coming up in the playoffs and see how they perform.
Thanks a lot, Kyle. We'll see you in the future, but to you, the audience, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one.
谢。